welcome to Monday Madness, guys. Today's episode is kind of different because I have my own Hekaya to share with you guys. I was with Bonke and a lot of my old friends yesterday at the album listening party for Watenda Willy. Had a great time. I don't know if you guys had a great time, but I was listening to the music while reading through the songbook they had printed out for the guests, like a hymn book. And those guys can write, by the way. You might want to stream their album. The reason why I'm saying today's episode is kind of different is because I want to talk about something that a lot of people have been asking me. And I get a lot of DMs. I've been getting a lot of DMs for the last 2 years from different guys about how I'm handling what I've been through. If you've known me by then, I'm not going to go into details. I don't like talking about my personal life, especially my situation nowadays, in a way that makes me paint my past life in a negative way. I don't regret my past because it brought me 2 beautiful boys. And so if I ever sat anywhere and said, I regret sharing my personal life and relationship with everyone, then it means then I also regret having the kids that came out of that period of my life. But that being said, a lot of dads who are in court fighting for their kids ask me all the time, bro, can you send me a number? I need advice. Bro, do you have a few minutes? Because being in court, I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but being in court with good intentions is very draining, I would imagine, for a lot of people, because I've gone through it publicly. And I can tell you one thing. I've disappointed a lot of people during that time. When things were bad, there were times when I couldn't show up for everyone the way I wanted to, the way I needed to. And if you ever hear me talking about how I self-isolated for like maybe 2 to 3 years so I can get myself back together, it was me refilling my cup. I didn't show up for everyone the way I wanted to. There are very many people I disappointed when I was going through it. I had to cancel a lot of gigs because I didn't have that bandwidth to show up as myself. And even wearing a mask some days was very difficult for me. So the best thing I can tell anyone out there who's in court fighting to be a present dad in their kids' lives is always remember the motivation behind what you're doing. If you already locked in to be a dad, please follow through. The kids need you. Wachana na watu wanakuambia kila siku naambiwa na wasee ati sijui wachana na wa junior watakutafuta wakiwa wabigi. Bro, by the time they are older, you don't know what they've been through. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to have those kids when they're already adults. Yeah? I think in our generation, we kind of need to do better by ourselves and by our kids. And it's always good to follow through. I mean, if you already decided in your head that, you want to be a dad and things don't work out between you and your missus, nothing's really stopping you from being a dad. You don't have to be the best husband. You don't have to be the best boyfriend, but you always have to be the best dad, because those kiddos by there are going to be affected by your absence, just the same way they're going to be affected by your presence. So I have spent the last, my case started in September 2023. I had written a whole statement about what I'm going to tell people when my ruling was given. But then I didn't want to take myself back. After talking to my lawyer, he told me, just because today is about the kids. Just shout out to Kate. Kate told me, Kate is my lawyer, by the way. He told me, bro, today is about the kids. If you can, just make it about the kids. And he kind of paused me in my thoughts. And in that moment, I had written a whole statement. I rehearsed how I'm going to read it, put it on my TikTok, put it on my IG, And it was a whole 15-minute speech. It's still on my phone, statement, about my whole experience. And now that I think about it in hindsight, it was filled with a lot of explanation about how I feel people treated me during that time. There was a lot of rumors out there. Sometimes I still feel like I hate some of the bloggers who were talking about things they don't know about the way they were talking about. I was painted really badly. And I wanted to kind of clear my name, but my lawyer reminded me, bro, this is about the kids. It's not about you. And it took me back to why I actually even went to court in the first place. It was never about me. It was about showing up for my kids and ensuring that whatever purpose I was put or placed to be in their lives was going to be seen through. And yeah, I can still read the statement, by the way, but it's not something I want to do because I'm afraid sometimes that when I touch on my past, there's always somebody ready to, twist it and make it into a negative thing, which I always say, the stages of grieving. Me, I grieved publicly. I was never ashamed of going through all the stages of grief. You saw me when I was angry. You saw me when I kind of looked depressed. And I always feel like if there's certain aspects of your life that you've chosen to put publicly, then you should close them publicly. I'm not a fan of people saying they need privacy when they invited everybody to their private lives. I know what I did with my life when I told everyone, like, subscribe, share, see how I'm doing with my family. And then all of a sudden now when it's over, people are speculating about all these things. It's time to ask for privacy. No, I actually wanted my privacy, but I wanted to close that public chapter of my life also publicly. So just to give you guys an update, I have joint legal and physical custody of my kids. I went to court, stayed there for 2 years, September 2023. Ironically, to September 2025. That's not to say that everyone's case is going to take 2 years in the court. Mine had issues in terms of just delays with a lot of sideshows, like motions being filed here and there before, they had to be had before the main case. But for other people, it takes lesser time. Other people stay in court for 18 years. And my advice to any dads out there who are in children's court first would be, please understand the role of children's court. It's not divorce court. So it's not a place where you go to shame the person you had a child with. It's a place you go to justify why your kids need to spend more time with you. Because it's way easier out here to be a deadbeat and, just be in full control of your time and your weekends than it is to be a dad. So if you're doing something as selfless as wanting and yearning to be in your children's lives, then I'm all for that. I would never hate on anyone who is intentional about being in their children's lives. And so this, for me, is just a word of encouragement to all you guys out there. And also to some of the babes out there who are going through the same thing. Because my experience in children's court was that it's not always the men who are chasing to be in their kids' lives. I've been in court where women are also actually fighting to be in the lives of their children. And for me, I think the thing that took me a bit back when I was there and what made me a bit humble was that I was in the same courtrooms fighting for my right to be present in my children's lives and spend my time and money on them with people who are actually being forced to do the same thing. So I think when I was testifying, I was a bit agitated and angry, and I actually even apologized to the judge, to the magistrate, when it was my time to testify. I actually apologized to the court and told the court that I apologize in advance if I sound a bit angry, if I'm a bit shaky in my voice, because I don't understand why I'm in court. In society, the court of public opinion is never fair to a lot of fathers because it's always you against the world. And anybody who's ready to take on that journey of going to court to fight for their kids, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you have to be prepared for that. Like, you have to walk that journey alone, because if you're expecting people to support you, and I'm sorry to say this, they will understand. But the amount of support you need has to come from inside of you. Your friends, your family, and anybody who is on that journey, or like you're on that journey and is watching you as a witness, can only understand you from outside of the club. They don't know how sometimes on the weekends, like I used to hear echoes in my house sometimes over the weekend. Like my kids are in the next room. I bought toys for them that they've never played with in the last 2 years. I decorated a room that they've never slept in for the last 2 years, because my case was kind of unique, you know. I was barred from seeing my kids for the entire period of my case. I had to prove that I'm not a threat to my kids. I'm not a danger. I've never been a danger to anyone. I have never been arrested for any violence. If you were there during the maandamano, you might have noted that the reason why I only showed up for Nani Nani is because I was so scared of being arrested during the first two maandamanos. Like basically just fighting for my kids affected every aspect and, thing in my life at that time. I was scared of going to the maandamano because I was scared of being arrested, not even dying. I was scared of being arrested in my judgment as a man, having to be put on the plate like, what were you thinking going out there to protest when you're in court fighting for your kids? And anybody who's been in court will tell you, bro, like you don't want to have more than one case at any given time, because it's straining, it's draining. Like utapatiwa hearing leo, alafu the next time maybe the magistrate has a slot to hear the case on a continuum is like 3 months from now. And then hiyo siku ya 3 months umetokea koti unasikia someone didn't show up, or these guys, you filed a motion, these guys haven't responded, they're asking for more time. Another 3 months. So in total, in that 2 years I was in court, I probably really was in front of the judge virtually and physically maybe maximum like 6 times. That's my experience. And to me, in terms of what I weighed as an advantage and as the silver lining or the light at the end of the tunnel, was that I'd rather spend 2 years in court than 18 years away from my kids. That was the way. That was my balancing act. It was heavy on my mind. It was heavy on my heart. I could not eat well on some days. I could not smash well on some days. Like there's days I just didn't want anybody in my house. Mi hata staki. Hata Rihanna angenipigia simu aniambie kama unidishi ningemlenga. That's how I was feeling. Wacha kucheka Ashley. My producer is laughing at this monologue I'm giving, because she's just here, she's listening to me. When you're going through the motions, like you're on an ocean, and you know how they say if you drown in the ocean, people don't go looking out for you because the ocean will always bring your body back to shore. That's how I managed the whole thing. Like the waves were taking me back and forth, and I wasn't doing anything to resist the wave, the directions of the wave. I just allowed myself. When I was sad, I allowed myself to be sad. When I felt like crying, I allowed myself to cry. When I felt happy, despite what was happening, I allowed myself to be happy. When I felt unserious, despite of everything serious that was happening in my life, I allowed myself to be unserious. When I lost gigs because, like it's very difficult. And I can't even blame anybody who kept me away from a gig, but it's very difficult for you as a man to go out there and tell someone, I want you to pay me 200K for a specific gig. And your reputation out there is that you don't take care of your kids. So you're asking me for 200 G's, what are you going to do with that money? Are you just going to go do drugs, drink, and go out there? So I didn't take any of that stuff personally. It upset me in certain times, but I never took it personally because I rationalized everything and I put myself in everyone's shoe at that time. I had pals of mine who actually just didn't want to put me on their platforms. Like I had people who couldn't even put me on. Like I don't want to hear this guy's story. He's too volatile right now. When you allow yourself to feel what you're feeling at any specific time, in some instances, you're going to look like you're very emotionally volatile. And it's people say, men should feel more, men should speak more. But then when you do it, it doesn't look that cute. You don't look that strong. So when I was weak, I allowed myself to be weak. And yeah, it was an experience. Maybe I'll write a book about it. I actually started writing a book. And then I was like, do I really want to publish a book about my past public life? And I was like, yeah, okay, it's a bit draining because I don't want to be taken back to that thing. I had a good time when it was happening. My beefs, and people tell me, oh no, Rama, you've had one of the worst, you've had one of the worst or the ugliest, messiest breakups. And I'm like, bro, but I was a gold standard when I was in the relationship. You only use me as a bad example because people only remember you at your lowest. When you're at your highest, everybody like, yeah, you're supposed to be there. But then when you're uko chini, sa ile life inakutuanga, bro. Huko ndo watu wengine kukumbuka, na huko ndo place watu wengine wanataka kukushikilia because maybe they were not. And it's just human nature. I don't take it personally. Sometimes people just don't feel like, what has this guy done to deserve everything? Look at him, he's living in a villa, he has a family, he's happy, he's creating content, he's working in advertising. Like, what does this guy have that I don't? And then when you fall from that flight, you're Coco Juna Pepe, you're a douche. You're just gliding through life. And then you fall from Oko Jula Fika Chini. Now is when you start noticing, oh, kumbe you were noticing me when I was flying. Oh, now kumbe you noticed me. People who don't take note of you until you fall. And there's people who just look at you when you're high and think, yeah, you're supposed to be there. So a lot of guys are indifferent to it. A lot of guys will remind you when you're down because that's the only time they feel that they are at your level and they can address you. So they'll use you as an example. And this is something I always tell my friends, and I keep telling my friends who are going through what I'm going through is, bro, don't overshare. Because I learned from my experience. Being a public person, I had to go through it publicly for that chapter of my life to be closed. But if you're a private person and you're going through the same thing as me, I always tell people, find your boys, find therapy. Like go rant, go talk to someone, journal. Feel like writing, you can write. But just don't put yourself out there. Remember these guys who will always remember you at your worst. Because at your best, they thought, what does this guy have that I don't? Why is he the one and not me? You know what I mean? And then when you fall, they're like, yeah, I see. I always told him, unaona, unacheki. So yeah, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I'd say even in terms of, and not that I take it personally, I know some people who just wouldn't allow me to like even, hata collab ilikuwa hard. Unaambia mseni aje su come through tufanye 1 2 3. Anambia and then hautawaisikia tena, hautawaiona tena. I know babes who even, let me tell you a funny story. Kuna time nimeenda bash ilikuwa Champions League. Yeah, I went to watch the Champions League final game ya PSG na AC Milan. Nimeenda nimewatch ball imenibamba manze, alafu nikapiga picha na dem. Actually, I had taken a photo like 2 weeks before that game. Kuna dem nilipiga picha na yeye alafu akaipost IG yake. Me, I didn't give it any mind. So she never tagged me. I think alieka IG yake bila kunitag. So nikaenda hiyo game like Champions League final, nikapata na huyo dem. Udem alinipiga lecture bana. She was like, bro, Connie, what are you? Yeah? Go take care of your children. I posted you and my friends were telling me, why are you posing for photos with deadbeats? You should take care of your children. I was like, I stood there, I looked at this babe. She was like knee high, like 5 feet tall. Nikamwambia hivi ndio wasichana wafupi wanaongeleshanga watu hawajui. I tried my best. I calmed my nerves so much. I looked at her and I was like, actually, you never had an issue taking a photo with me. Your problem is that your friends saw you a certain way. Like, whatever you're telling me has nothing to do with me. It has more to do with how your friends made you feel when you took photos with me. And how your friends made you feel when you took a photo with me is based on what they actually thought about me without actually knowing anything. So when I was going through everything publicly, the only thing I could not go public about was my case. So there's a thing people don't understand. There's something called contempt of court. You can never discuss an ongoing case publicly because the court deems it that you're trying to influence its decision by rallying guys behind you. You know what I mean? So I can't get power. Like, I don't even think your lawyer, if you have a good lawyer, they never advise you to go and discuss your case publicly. If you saw me on Obina's show,
you just send the money. You know, watoi wako ni watoi wako. Lipa tu.
Sasa ndio nakwambia, you see, even for me to pay, I need to know nalipa school fees ya shule gani.
I said what I said. The reason why I said I don't know what my bill is and I'm not paying, like, if I don't have my bill is because I'm not supposed to be an ATM, and I stand by that. I'm supposed to be a dad. Anytime you give birth to any child or you take responsibility for any kiddo, you can offer your money as long as you also offer your time. Because I could just pay for my kids, whatever, and niko huku nje tu nazunguka. So now I have a good reputation because nobody's complaining about why I don't show up for my kids. I just give money. But then I'm also a deadbeat. You know, like, there's two levels of deadbeat. There's guys who are never there for their kiddos, and there's guys who just give money and, like, show up when they want to. I want to show up when I'm needed, not when I want to. Because I already locked into this thing. I don't know what type of dad you guys want to be if you have kids. If you have a picnic on the way, congratulations. I hope you give birth to a bouncing baby boy or girl. Kama umeenda through the whole process mpaka ukishajua agenda. But fatherhood is such an amazing journey that some people actually go to court so they can continue on that journey. I didn't want mine interrupted short. And I took it upon myself to go to the court and show the court why I deserve and my children deserve me. So even if the court doesn't understand why I deserve to be in my kids' lives, I went there in the hope that the court will understand why my kids need me. And I did a good job. Shout out to Kate. Did a good job. I'm proud of myself. By the way, hakuna kitu naweza niambia unishukishe. Ilifika point I stopped relying on external validation, especially when it came to things like I'm passionate about, like my art and fatherhood. And sometimes you just have to move like that. Unakuwa tu dangerous. Hata uambiwe nini unasonga. So I hope ule dem alinipost akakukiwa na mabeshte zake ako sawa. I don't remember the face. I don't remember the name. And I hope her friends, I hope her friends get men who actually want to be in their children's lives. And maybe one day they'll understand me. That's all I wish for. If you're going to be so loud about somebody who's doing something that they're locked into, always hope that whoever you go on the same journey with will also want to be as locked in as me. And that's my Hekaya for this episode of Monday Madness. I'll ask you guys, like I always do, if you have a video of someone doing a bit of madness that is healthy and is needed in life and haina views, like it's inspiring or funny, tag us on Monday Madness. Mi niko na 5,000 ndo kutumia. Ikitokea kwa page yetu by the alafu eko yako kalogo ka Monday Madness, bill me, takupatia. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like, share, tell people about this channel. Tulianza light, but tunaingia hivi deep end kidogo. Pole pole tu, sio ati we don't have to be deep all the time and we don't have to be jokers all the time. Pole pole tu, mdogo mdogo. That's how life is. It's never that serious, but also sometimes it is that serious. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys on the next episode.